Strengthening Germany's position. A 10-year non-aggression pact between Nazi Germany and Poland. The year is 1934, and Hitler decides to sign a 10-year non-aggression pact with Poland that guaranteed Poland's borders. Now, this is interesting and strange because, if you remember, in the Treaty of Versailles, Poland was given German territory with the Polish corridor. You can clearly see it on that map. A lot of that area there, although is now Poland, is really Germany. So why would Hitler want to do that? Well, firstly, it pleased Britain, who saw it as proof that Hitler had totally peaceful aims. And it now meant that Hitler could concentrate elsewhere, knowing he can come back to this later on. The rest of the world were beginning to be almost convinced by Hitler that he wasn't an evil man. The failed Anschluss with Austria. Later in that same year, 1934, Hitler suffered a bit of a setback. He wanted the Nazi Party in Austria to rebel, and that ended up resulting in the murder of the Austrian Chancellor, a guy called Engelbert Dollfuss. Now remember, Hitler was an Austrian citizen originally, so he wanted Germany and Austria to Anschluss or join together. This was banned under the Treaty of Versailles, but he wanted it as a central Lebensraum, living space issue. Mussolini stopped him by moving his troops onto the border, so Austria had to stay independent. Hitler had to back down from Italy. He saw straight away that he didn't have a strong enough army and distanced himself from the failed Anschluss and licked his wounds and realised he needed more time to be excellent and on the ball when it comes to fighting a foreign war. And finally, the Anglo-German Naval Agreement and rearmament. This was much more successful for Hitler. This was signed in 1935. And what it did very quickly is suggest and demonstrate to Hitler that he was being treated seriously. Under the Treaty of Versailles, Hitler was allowed 6 battleships and not much of a navy. But what this new treaty agreed to was the following. Firstly, Germany could now have 35% of the strength of the British fleet. No submarines, though, but even so, Britain had a big navy. That was a lot of ships. That is an improvement for Germany than the Treaty of Versailles said. But what really gets Hitler is that, without meaning to, Britain has just said to Germany, it's okay for you to rearm. From Britain's position, they thought, well, it's better to have some limit on him than assume he would do improvements to his army and navy anyway, and we would have no control over it. It weakened the position Britain had with France because it didn't consult them, or Italy, and Germany could now rearm without any real opposition. So much so that by 1938, the army had 8 times as many men as it was allowed, 800,000, 47 U-boats when it should have had none, and 2,000, over 2,000 actually, aircraft, again when it was supposed to have none. This showed Hitler something very clearly. He was not going to be stopped, however much he pushed his luck, as long as he did it slowly, that Britain and France would actually do nothing to stop him.